8 or 9 great candidates here tonight. I'm really glad that they're here. I'm going to take the mic holder's prerogative and ask one question of this side and one question of this side, and then we're going to turn it over to you guys for a couple questions each, okay? Ms. Benitez-Thompson, I'm going to give you a little more time because, you know, you're getting clobbered on time. But Jerry, give her 3 or 4 minutes on this. You're going to need support of Republicans and independents to win this race. I believe in Pershing County, it's 5-to-1 registration ratio. What is your message to Republicans and independents as to why they should vote for you as opposed to one of these gentlemen? What sets you apart in that way?
Thank you so much for the question. I'm happy to answer for it. Thank you so much, Sheriff, for the water. I appreciate that. That was considerate of you. So first and foremost, it's because community comes first to me. That's why I led with it. And when I introduced myself, I believe that everything centers around our community, good, healthy communities that are well-funded, that have programs for all of us. For those of us when we're doing well in our good times, for those of us that are doing poorly in our bad times, for our seniors when they're aging and they want to stay in their community and they want to stay in place in the soil that they love, but there might not be the resources around them to help them. Working in a regional hospital in Nevada for many years, I saw a lot of people come from this communities all across rural Nevada, who couldn't return home because there weren't the supports in place to help them. Getting people connected to their community and staying in their community is absolutely most important. And I think that you have to look past partisanship. I heard a lot of candidates over here say this, and they're absolutely right. It comes down to who's going to meet your needs. I know where Jarbridge is. It's that fishing town that has a drinking problem up in northeast Nevada, right? Northwest Nevada. Yeah. So that was a joke, you guys. I saw it on a T-shirt in Jarbridge. They print it. But let me tell you right now how I'm committed and how I'm so serious. And I'm going to put down a challenge, and I hope everyone here accepts that challenge. You have to be in the community. I've never spent 7 days or 8 days in Washington, D.C. If I fly in there, it's for a day, and I can't wait to get right back home. But I'd be willing to do it for this job. But being present in front of you matters. I asked I ran into a congressman, and he was retired. He was a Republican, and he served in another state. But I said, I'm a Democrat, but what's one piece of advice you can give me? And he said, do 100 town halls. You have to commit yourself to being in the community before you ever win. And you have to tell people that. And I thought, my gosh, 100, that's a lot. He had a very small district. It was nowhere as big as this district here. And I thought over the course of 2 years, could I do 50? Absolutely, and that will be the goal. I commit to 50 town halls through the course of my election, being present throughout Northern Nevada. I'm not going to do 50 Zoom town halls. I will travel all throughout Nevada, making sure that I meet people where they at. I'd like all the candidates here to commit to the same. If we're not in your community and we can't commit to being in the community all the time, then you shouldn't elect us.
Thank you for that. Gentlemen on this side of the room, and we're going to hope that this thing, there is an on-off switch. Test. Should still be working. Just pass it on down. We'll go ahead and start with Mr. Shepard this time, since he got to go last. We'll start with him first, if you guys can hand that down to him. There are, 28 of you in this primary, and you don't necessarily have to come up to the podium because there's so many of you, but for a minute and a half, what sets you apart from these other 6 that are here right now? What sets you apart from them? Why should all of the Republicans in this audience vote for you rather than these guys? Nicely, of course.
There's lots of reasons. If you go to rickshepard.com, you'll find out about many of the things I'm interested in. Most importantly is liquid fluoride thorium reactors and using them to generate power for our state and use them to desalinate the brackish water that is beneath our feet. There are billions of acre feet of brackish water beneath our feet, ready to be pumped up, turned into potable water, and used to provide all the irrigation that we need. Everything that we could possibly need, everything we could possibly want sits beneath our feet, 4,000 years worth. And we have everything that we need to be able to bring it up, produce it, use it, and make this state wealthy doing so. Alaska has a thing called the Permanent Fund. They started it 50 years ago. And what it is every citizen of Alaska receives a check every year for the profits from the sale of their oil and gas. We can do the exact same thing, only we can synthesize our oil and gas. As we build enough electricity, we drive the marginal the marginal cost of generating electricity to lower than the cost of extraction and refining. So we can be a net exporter of a hydrocarbon fuel with no carbon footprint. Right here, right now. I'm Rick Shepard, thank you.
Mr. Watts is next.
What sets me apart is that it's the House of Representatives. It's not the House of Republicans. It's not the House of Democrats. It's the House of Representatives. And I don't give a crap about your party. I care about being your voice. As the sheriff, it's a nonpartisan office. And when my dispatchers asked, what's the address of your emergency? They didn't ask, what party are you with? And I never once asked, what party are you with, when I went to these houses, knocked on the doors when I was running for my 2 elections. Because it doesn't matter. The Democrat's voice is just as important as a Republican's voice. That's it, because it is a voice of a person. And we are representatives of the people of CD2 of Northern Nevada. That's what sets me apart. I'm, I believe, the only Republican candidate that has been to multiple Democrat events. And I'll tell you right now, this is the first Republican event that I've been to that has outpaced Democrat events.
It's a Lions Club event.
But still, but my point of it is, the Democrats are very motivated this year, and Theresa can tell you this, they're very motivated this year because it's an open seat. But I listen to both sides. I hear both sides, and I will represent the people of Northern Nevada.
Mr. Forbush, please.
So I think one of the things that sets me apart is I am an out-of-the-box thinker. I consider myself a loophole expert. If there's a way I can expose the loophole to get things done, I will do that. I'll give you an example. So one of the things I did when I did highway interdiction, there was a case, it was a Smith case, where the Nevada Supreme Court said, as a law enforcement officer, even if you get consent, you can no longer take door panels apart, things of that nature, to find drugs out of someone's car, because they say they aren't really giving you the consent to do that. So I said, fine, I'll rewrite my consent where I will ask for people to say you can rip my car apart. And sure enough, they did it. And then about a week or two later, I pulled 5 pounds of meth out of a car, out of a bed liner, that I would not have been allowed to do based on a Supreme Court decision that was made before that. Another incident is, I run the Nevada Predator Hunting Association. I know a lot of you guys probably out there hunt. We have anti-hunters out there that want to take away calling contests. There was a race to make those illegal. I said, we're gonna make it legal. The Hansons there know that we went to the interim committee not too long ago, and we made it where we're gonna make this legal to outsmart them. So those are the things that I do as a couple of examples. Thank you.
Tylawsky.
I'd say there are 2 main things that make me stand out. First, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's important to have somebody who's got the experience working the halls of Congress, who knows how to put together a congressional office, who knows what it's like to manage everything from people who walk through the front door to people who want to do a Capitol tour to people who are calling in to express your concerns about our district. That's number 1. Number 2, I think it's important to start sowing the seeds of conservatism for the next generation here in our great state. It's important to lay the foundation for a new movement, for a new generation of Nevadans who care about this district, who want to build their lives here. I also think that it's important to connect that with those values I just mentioned about Washington. I run a podcast that's called Friends and Fellow Citizens. It's not Friends and Fellow Republicans or Friends and Fellow Democrats. Friends and Fellow Citizens are the first 4 words of George Washington's farewell address. I think that's important. It's important to address each and every single one of us as fellow citizens as part of this great district. Thank you.
Before Mr. Settelmeyer takes over, we have a lot of folks standing. There are some seats in the front, and maybe if they're too shy to come up and get them, our fellow Lions could grab a few chairs for those in the back. I think that we are almost at capacity, so if we get a few more chairs out, there's about too many people standing for me. Mr. Settelmeyer, please. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think what sets me apart from my other candidates that are in this race is contacts. I look around the room and I see familiar faces. And if I know I mess up, that man, Benny Hodges, is gonna kick my butt. We also have other people in this room, from the Morais that I went to FFA with, to the Gottschalks that I served in FFA with, to the contacts that I've made throughout time and the people who have endorsed me, from Governor Lombardo, Congressman Amodei, to over 100 leaders in Northern Nevada that are Republican leaders that chose to support me. I've also got money from Democrats. Got criticized by that by a couple of people, which is funny because they just decided to donate double because it pissed off one of my opponents. So in that respect, it's kind of funny. But I've also worked in the minority 14 of my 16 years. 16 years of legislative experience. There's no one out here that has that. And that's what you're selecting, is somebody to go back and be a legislator for you and advocate on your behalf and your issues. People know my cell phone number. They still have it, and they still call me all the time. I'll be farming at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, baling hay, or moving cows, sometimes having to help a cow have a calf, and they call. And I answer those calls. But also when I was in the minority, I worked with the other side. I worked on issues, made the bills better, tried to find solutions. I'm the only one here who's passed gun laws to actually increase your constitutional rights. Started out with John Lee, a Democrat, and got those bills through. Then over time, they actually let a freshman Republican actually have their own bills, which is kind of funny. Anyways, thank you for your time.
Mr. Smith.
See if I get this working now. Good news. One thing I will say, not so much differences, but one of the things that I think everybody's benefiting from is the fact that we've got a lot of great candidates up here. In the course of this race, I've got to know a lot of them, and we've all got to know each other. And actually, that's a good thing because we're all elevating our own game, which benefits you as the voters. What sets me off differently from the gentleman here and our lady is, I'll start with my military background. I've been pressured to do certain things in combat that were wrong. And I stood my ground because it was the right thing to do, and it became the standard for what was required for the mission execution. As a contract analyst and also as a military pilot, I've seen a lot of the issues with fraud, waste, and abuse, where it requires us to step in and take care of your tax dollars and be the guardian. On the military, as a contractor, I've encountered issues when it comes to bureaucracy. I've had to deal with bureaucratic organizations, specifically the Joint Staff. And they were doing certain things that were unrealistic and inappropriate for the warfighters and the troops on the ground. And what I did was did a deep dive on what are the challenges. One of the things I do is I want to identify the problem and find solutions that are practical and not political in nature, no political theater. So what we did was we did a deep dive. I built a coalition, and we were successful in getting 3 things across through this bureaucratic organization, which are now the Joint Standard. So the last thing I'll say is one of the first things I did when I was exploring running for this office was I pulled out my military credentials, and you'll see it on my website, and it's a code of conduct. I did that for transparency purposes so you would know exactly how I intend to serve. The last bullet in that is I intend to be responsive and accessible to each and every voter. I'll treat everybody with respect. That's on both sides of the party. And there's other things in that code of conduct. Not to make myself any different, because I've met these gentlemen. I think they'll all adhere to the same standards, and that's a win for all of us. Thank you.
And last and certainly not least, Mr. Olsen. Go in this direction.
All right, the thing that sets me apart, I'm just like you. I got the same values, same concerns, same problems, but I got a voice, and I'm gonna use that voice. When I get to Washington, D.C., I'm gonna raise some hell. There's nothing they can do to me. I'm a retiree. What are they gonna do, send me back to being retired? Ooh. Yeah, I get to go fishing again. Get to go rock hounding, spend time with my grandkids. So I'm not afraid to go there to Washington, D.C. and make some noise. I'm gonna be proud to do it. Because what's the only ones you hear on TV nowadays? AOC, Ilhan Omar, all the squad members. There's 435 members of Congress, and you hear from maybe 10 of them. I'm gonna be number 11. I wanna make some noise. I want your guys' voice to be heard. There's nothing they can do to me, so I'm gonna go make some noise. All right, we're done, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. So keep that handy with you. It may have to be passed around. Let's give it to Mr. Settelmeyer as he's in the middle, so he can go either way. Just make sure it's on when you hand it off to the next person.